3 years ago, I lost one of the most brilliant minds I've come across. This gentleman academically even finished with a first class from one of the premium universities we have around. This guy was so passionate, driven, with so much potential. And if you know me well, you know that the thing I hate the most is to see wasted potential. I'm in the business of converting potential to kinetics. And this, my guy, for me, he was up there, he had no problem. He was this very strong personality. He was going through this particular situation, and I don't know how badly it dealt with him. And the guy was making cynical comments like, I could just drink sniper, I could just do this, I could just do that. Very, very scary comments. Fast forward 3 months after, I get a call and they're saying my friend drank sniper. Sniper. I couldn't reconcile seeing this very strong person going out with a very weak substance like sniper, very cheap as well. And it had me shook. And I'm wondering, man, this cannot be real, until they started sending pictures of him in the hospital. And it was very painful for me to see someone great laying down helplessly in that way. But why did this happen? It happened because he and we, his friends, were not aware about the subject called mental health. Mental health is real. And let's even rewind backwards, say, 4 months backward, and say we were all furnished with mental health information and he was aware, he would have probably gone to get the right help. Or if we were aware, we would have even, searched for some kind of help for him. But this great trauma happened as a result of our ignorance, as a result of our unawareness of the subject matter. So folks, mental health is real, and I've taken it upon myself to do my little bit to inform the world, to make them aware of dangers and possible solutions to resolve this great challenge that we are facing in this 21st century. My name is POWELL HART from www.mrhart, and I'm here to bring meaning and purpose to your life. Mental health is one of the most relegated illnesses or medical conditions in the history of medicine. Until recently, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the isolation, there's been a hike in it, and it has become noticeable in the world. As a matter of fact, we have about 1 billion cases of mental health on a global scale. And also in Nigeria, where we live, 1 in 4 people is currently living with a mental health situation that they're not even aware of. In a country where our population is about 200 million people, you can imagine that we have about 50 million people or over going through this same situation, and they have no idea they're going through it. As a matter of fact also, every 40 seconds, someone dies from suicide. Every 3 years, we have about 3 million people dying from substance abuse. This is real, this is serious issue. 50% of mental health patients catch this, illness as early as 14 years of age. So that means we also need to be conscious enough to focus on the younger ones, because they might be going through this situation. And like any other symptom, it's better to detect it while it's still young. Kill King Kong while it's still a baby. So as we proceed on the mental health issue, and I think it's very important that we mention some of the least spoken about mental health situations that people go through on a daily basis. Some of them include PTSD, schizophrenia, bipolar, clinical depression, and so many, just to mention a few. Depression is real. You see people going around, they're down, they're not bubbly, they have this mood switch. Some people call it ogbanje. These things are not limited to ogbanje. We need to evolve beyond our traditional way of seeing things. We need to modify, not discard, but modify. They say you should embrace change, but in the process, don't forget your originality. So it can always be improved upon. We can probe further and understand what this mood swing is all about. It's not everything that is necessarily spiritual. Then you have the bipolar, the personality splits. You have people like Kanye West going through, this minute they can switch to being sad, frowning, and you're wondering what's happening. This guy was just happy a moment ago. It's nothing, to be scared about. It's just the mental health situation. In as much as you're not supposed to be scared, but at the same time, you you can also seek for help or address the need. Then you have PTSD, which is an acronym for post-traumatic stress disorder. This is something that currently in our country we need to address with a sense of urgency. Because, for example, in the Northeast, with all this crisis that we're going through, people are witnessing these occurrences. People are seeing these things firsthand. Children are seeing this thing firsthand. And don't forget, you can catch this sickness as early as 14 years of age. So you can see that we have a generational problem building here, and we need to be aware and address it as soon as possible. Then we have things like schizophrenia, where people are hearing voice, they are mentally and psychologically deluded. And the problem is that we have people like this walking the streets every day, driving cars, operating heavy machineries in the boardrooms, and they do not really realize that they are actually deluded. Delusion is real, is a real mental health challenge, and I think it also should be addressed. So now that we've identified the various challenges and problems associated with mental health, the question is, where do we go from here? Where do we navigate towards? Are we still going to remain where we are? Because my favorite quote is, results come only when you're in motion and never in stagnation. If we remain in stagnation, the whole problem is just going to keep piling up generation by generation. But for us to be able to, see a light at the end of the tunnel, we need to be conscious first. We need to consciously seek the solutions to this challenge. Some of the possible solutions to this mental health challenge, I'm going to list them, but it's not an exhaustive list. A lot more can be added. Some of them include counseling. Counseling is very vital in this kind of situation because people need to speak to someone so they can get reasonable and professional advice. Number two, we have therapy. Therapy is not just meant for some people, it's also meant for Africans, it's meant for Nigerians, it's meant for Black people on a global scale. And I think it's something that in this time we should embrace with a sense of urgency. Then also we have clinical medications that can be prescribed by professional psychiatrists, to handle this situation. Then also, above all, which is my personal favorite, is the awareness. People really, really need to be aware about mental health and truly know that it's the challenge that exists in this time and in this day. Like every other thing in life that has its barriers, mental health is no exception. And there are certain reasons why people have been finding it difficult to get help for this particular illness. Some of it include the stigmatization of mental health. People don't want to be perceived as mad or crazy, and they don't want to be judged. And also in some parts of the world, it is seen as a luxury good because it's quite expensive. It's not the most affordable illness to treat. So in that case, I would suggest that some form of effort should be made to help subsidize this treatment, and awareness should be made so people can afford and reach it. Also, the service delivery, the fact that this treatment is delivered in the psychiatric hospital is also a form of fear. People are they're going to stay away from that because they don't want to be associated with those kind of challenges. And also you have the religious bias as well. Some people think they can pray these things away. Of course, miracle happens. I'm a man of faith. Miracles happen. But sometimes we also need to take advantage of the inspiration that's been given by God to professionals to help handle this kind of situation. So by bridging some of these gaps and by removing some of these hurdles, I believe that we'll be able to reduce the adverse effect of mental health in our society. Spaceship on the highway. Well, these days I'd rather Netflix and chill, definitely. Oh yeah, I've got several instances of that, yeah. Even like this was about 12 years ago, where I met a young lady that was depressed with family problems, family challenges, and it was timely that at that time I was evolving myself, and I was able to literally grab her hand and let her experience my evolution process. And by doing that, it rubbed off on her, and she was saved pretty much, and she's still doing great today.